So I know that China is not quite as much of a closed society as North Korea, but still, when I go searching for information about what's going on in China, politically, socially, culturally, it is really hard to ascertain. And that's not just because of language barriers. It's also, of course, because they have an authoritarian government that heavily censors what goes on inside the country and what Westerners are allowed to learn about their country and their culture. And they have a very closed media landscape as well. So a lot of women in China, from my understanding, are huge fans of television dramas. There are C dramas in Korea, there are K dramas, and in Japan there are J dramas. It's sort of the same way that K-pop, C-pop, and J-pop all kind of exist in their own climate, and only in recent years have Westerners taken an interest in any of them. So I recently learned that these TV dramas, which are so popular with women in China, are undergoing heavy censorship rules because the themes of romance in these shows have been deemed by the CCP dangerous. They're sending the wrong messages to women in their country and making them delusional about their own romantic prospects. And I saw this one clip of a Chinese news anchor explaining, listen, stop being delusional. No CEO will ever randomly fall in love with you. The country is currently proceeding to manage TV dramas. Deputy Director of State Administration of Radio and Television said the TV dramas that are leading to mass delusions, such as miracle plot twists in someone's life, a random CEO who falls in love with a random normal girl.
Yeah.
And they should be carefully managed to stop this mass delusion caused by them and establish a safe environment for TV dramas.
It's like the storyline where the girl falls out of love with her six-figure making husband and falls in love with the guy who runs a Christmas tree farm.
This stuff is just allowed to run rampant in the West. We have tons of stories like that.
I've been sending Mary videos of this guy who does the bad guy from a Hallmark movie goes on live 3 years after the movie.
I love those.
That's what we're looking at these days.
And all of these English speakers in the comments are saying that we have it so great because we get to have these stories and they don't. They said, imagine we're so delulu that the government has to step in.
They're just as delulu here. It's just we have this stupid thing called the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Delulu is the way. Chinese news saying delulu is not the salulu. They're doing everything to solve the singles crisis. God forbid they have standards. And another comment from an English speaker said, yeah, let's blame it on dramas and not the fact that women aren't putting up with emotionally unavailable and insecure men. Shout out to the amazing ones. Help your peers so they can do better and be better too.
Insecure.
Shout out to the real men out there.
I watched this skit today from Content Machine where it's like when you wear gray sweatpants out. And this, it's like an inversion of the trope where the woman, she's dressed super slutty and she's telling him that he can't go out like that because people will stare at him. He's like, it just makes me, he's like, I just do it for myself.
Smash those gender norms.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to tell which is more popular, the TV dramas that were referenced in that video or the TV dramas that feature same-sex romance between men in China. This is also facing a major government crackdown at the moment. I'm surprised it's
allowed at all.
I am also surprised that it was ever allowed, but it was news just last week. China censors male romance stories. Female fans mourn their idealized love tales. This is the danmei genre, and it's known for being boys' love in English. It has caught the eye of Chinese authorities. At least dozens of writers have been interrogated, arrested, and charged with producing and selling obscene materials in China in the past year. And that's just according to various media reports and witness accounts online. We don't know all of the details, obviously, because it's China. They say For Cindy Zhang, like many young Chinese women, a relaxing night used to mean curling up with a steamy story about two men in love. Then her favorite authors and their tales started disappearing. Fans of the Danmei same-sex romance genre, written and read mainly by straight women, say the Chinese government is carrying out the largest crackdown yet, effectively neutering their enjoyment. In the vast world of fantasy, Danmei is relatively straightforward. Two men stand in for idealized relationships, from chaste to erotic. Some scholars believe the stories appeal to Chinese women as a way to sidestep the country's conservative gender values and imagine relationships on a more equal footing. So
what does two men in a relationship have to do with equal footing for women?
Well, because they are idealizing romance between two people who are the same in every respect.
So
in a way, it's sort of their sublimating their desire for a 50-50 equal feminist relationship into a story about two men, because that's the only way that it's seen as acceptable in their culture.
It's like their version of like the women in America who are like the gender, like everything's too close to home. We have to have morning glory milking farms so I can escape from the gender norms here in America.
This is a thing. I mean, there's like, I don't want to get into too much gruesome detail, but the yaoi genre of like smut that women read in the West is influenced by this as well.
I saw Colonel Kurtz going on like a whole thing this weekend about like porn versus like women reading AI or reading like, you know, novelization smut. Like,
I mean, I guess that only curbs the risk of human trafficking, but allows all the other risks of porn addiction to run rampant. Women turn to Danmei for pure love, especially as they face pressure from families, peers, and society to get married and have kids, according to King Wang, a senior lecturer at University of Liverpool who studies Chinese pop culture and internet literature. So all of the people that were interviewed for this piece in American media were Chinese people, immigrants living in the West, because they're the only ones who are able to freely talk about the censorship in the country. The once niche Chinese literary subculture has been seen a boom in recent years, with novels adapted into blockbuster television series and translated into Western languages. And they're having no more of it. And the government's justification for this crackdown is they're hoping to boost the birth rates. Their continued repression of online literature that portrays bromance, maybe a little bit more than bromance, reflects a distorted rationale that forbidding such themes will correct women's sexual orientation and save them from what they perceive to be toxic Japanese cultural invasion, so that they'll be more willing to have children. They obviously have incredibly low birth rates in China, partly due to their own making because of their former 1- and 2-child policies. And families in China often abort female babies before they're even born. They have an immense cultural bias toward sons, and there's an incredibly lopsided population problem where they have more men, more single men than single women, and the women are increasingly gravitating toward feminist ideas. And we just recently talked about the working career women in China who hire Kens or male nannies in their household, who are sort of like stand-in surrogate boyfriends, but they're for hire, and you rotate them according to the whatever mood you're in or the season.
The government getting involved in this kind of reminds me of something that I'm going to be talking about on Wednesday, which is Donald Trump trying to get involved in pop culture, where he wants to get Rush Hour 4 made, and he talks about how Bloodsport is his favorite movie of all time, and how we need to bring masculinity back to movies. This is just the American version of what we're seing here. Trump doing it by way of, I did a video that's coming out tomorrow, where basically they're saying that Donald Trump, like the Trump administration has specific CNN anchors that they want to see, that he wants to see gone because he doesn't like them. And if Warner Brothers wants their sale to go through to Paramount, well, they might have to They might have to fire them. I do not think that that's a good
a sticky
idea.
situation.
That's my point was like, I dislike this is the definition of meddling in private business.
Right.
But it's really funny to think about Trump talking about how Bloodsport, like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, is his favorite movie of all time, and we need to bring masculinity back to movies. Either way, we're talking about two very, very powerful natures who are countries who are trying to use movies to influence the population.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I suppose, it's much different here because we have civil liberties protections, and Trump's way of going about it is positive reinforcement of media that he believes is a good influence, but in China it's negative reinforcement where we're just going to silence everything we don't like. And it's not just TV dramas portraying straight romance or TV dramas portraying gay male romance. There are so many other genres that have completely disappeared in China because of this. They have cracked down on portrayals of witches, of reincarnation, teenage romance, gay romance, even themes of lonely individuals stuck in unhappy marriages, themes of alcoholism, and themes of vengeance in stories. Not just that, but
that's understandable because they want to quell political resistance in their country as well.
They also don't want themes of romance in army dramas. So if they're portraying soldiers, there should be no themes of romance in those stories. No obvious plastic surgery is another one. They don't want any actors on screen that have overt plastic surgery procedures. They also feel strongly about the appearance of male actors in Chinese television shows and movies. They want to move away from what we know as like kind of the K-pop idol archetype. Like none of this, they don't want any of that sissy shit. Like they don't want guys who look younger than their age.
They need their own Jean-Claude Van Damme.
They want more macho looking men on screen in military themed shows that kind of in their, it maybe not is it's not effective perhaps in reality, but their idea is that if they incentivize that on their media, it's going to lead to more like jingoistic attitudes among the population.
They need their own. Remember when Top Gun Maverick came out? It was really, really successful, and China wanted to make their own Top Gun Maverick, and like it looked horrible, and I don't even know if it ever actually came out.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like they're also imitating Western media in certain cases. They also have a tendency, according to American fans of C-dramas, to crack down on any genre that gets too popular. And one of them is time travel. Like there was a big boom of C-dramas that had themes of time travel involved in the plot. And this was becoming so popular, and more of these types of shows were getting made, and they were like, no more.
So instead of 12 monkeys, they had like 12 dogs.
Like this one Redditor said, I'm confused. Does anyone know what the rules are? Why are they changing how long dramas can be? And if they can do more than one season? The censors are out to ruin my fun. Cutting show lengths so shows already being produced have to make annoying decisions about editing and storylines so we don't get to see the original story. Shows get postponed forever or possibly blocked. Actors get banned from working and so on. They have a tendency that the censorship board will ban a certain genre if it becomes too popular. When 2 time travel dramas became huge hits back in 2011, everyone started making time travel dramas and they started banning them. So, I don't know. It's something that we don't hear much about in Western media. I just thought it was fascinating.
So they want to ban them just because it's not realistic. Therefore, they don't want their population being enamored with something that's too much science fiction. Because they need to go to school.
I don't know. I think it's just anything that gets responded to positively by large swaths of the population they believe somehow needs to be quelled. And obviously in the West and Hollywood productions, we're hoping that the free markets will resolve everything. And to a large degree, that seems to be happening with the response to One Battle After Another, for instance.
Mustiness.
Total flop. Liberal mustiness is being rejected at the box office after it was rejected at the ballot box.
Yeah, the free market should win out in these things. The problem is there's also a delay, and so I kind of posit the idea that the culture we live in every day is more generally affected by the internet, which is fast, happens instantaneously. Like we're going to talk tomorrow about quarter zips, and it's going to go as quickly as it came.
Yeah.
It's going to be gone instantaneously. But movies,
like the old money trend.
Yes. Movies, just by the very nature of how they're made, will never be able to work at that scale. They have to represent something more timeless. And for a while, it seemed like they were chasing trends of the moment. I mean, that's Hollywood in general. I watch a lot of videos about trends in Hollywood. The rise and fall of disaster movies, the rise and fall of crime noir, the rise and, genres define ages. But it feels like now everything moves so fast that there's just nothing. Like I was trying to think about it because I was watching this podcast and they were talking about how wrestling used to be. The desire for wrestling was to make it simulate a fight. And it was supposed to look realistic. And that's why kayfabe was a thing. And back in the 90s, it seems silly now, maybe to someone your age, but there was a time where people genuinely didn't know whether it was real or not, okay? But the thing is,
people were more innocent back then.
Well, not just that it was more innocent, but it was designed to look in a way that simulated a real fight. Now, all it is high spots, jumping off the top rope, moves that look absolutely impossible without the help of both people involved. And I feel like it actually lines up, because it's been over the last 10 to 15 years, with the fast-paced nature of the internet. And eventually you just get to slop and it gets sold to Saudi Arabia. Like eventually, like you just end up at slop and it's sold off to private equity, and you just end up at slop and it's, it's nothing. Or in this case, in Hollywood's sake, and what I mean by that is like people are theorizing that WWE will get sold to Saudi Arabia someday. But with movies, like it doesn't feel like we're going to see another revival of another genre where it's going to pick back up again. Like I don't know if we'll ever have another heyday where disaster movies are popular again. Like there was the video I was watching was saying like there was a heyday for disaster movies in the 70s, and then of course you had its renaissance in the 90s with Independence Day, and into the 2000s with Day After Tomorrow and all of these movies. Like I don't see any of these things coming back in. It seems like there's this weak effort now to make westerns a thing again.
Yeah.
But the internet will never allow that to happen because culture moves too fast.
Yeah. It seems like
you can't sit with something for any length of time anymore.
For that reason and many other reasons, audience tastes are not really being taken into account when they make decisions on which stories to tell.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.